Well, hey there. Welcome to the Elsa Kurt Show. I'm your host, Elsa Kurt, and today I have with me Ralph Rebandt. He is running for governor of Michigan right after this. Well, hello there, sir. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
I am doing exceptionally well today. Thank you for asking.
Outstanding. So I'm pretty excited to talk to you because when I looked over my notes, I learned, I'm jumping right into it. I hope you don't mind, but I
Oh,
discovered that you are a chaplain for several police departments and police organizations, which is of course near and dear to my heart as a police spouse. So I can we jump right in and you tell me a little bit about that, how that came to be?
sure. When we moved to Michigan, back to Michigan after graduate school to start our church, I wanted to get involved in the community. And so we did. And I visited with the police department. And the chief, Bill Dwyer, asked me if I was interested in becoming a chaplain. And I said, I'm not sure what that involves, but I'd be happy to. And he said, well, we can send you to some training classes and get you certified and all that. And I said, I'm in. And so that was about 32 years ago. And since then, I've become chaplain not only for our local community here in Farmington Hills, but Beverly Hills, not California, but Beverly Hills, and then the Michigan Chiefs of Police, and then the Southeastern Michigan Chiefs of Police, and the Southeastern Chiefs, which is the largest organization, has endorsed me as their candidate for governor.
That is fantastic. So just so people know, what exactly does a chaplain do with and for police officers, for first responders? What's your role in their community?
Well, we ride with them frequently, and the goal is to just make friends so that when there's a need that they have, whether it's personal or family, they call me, and that's happened over the years. And I remember the very first time an officer came walking up my driveway. After probably 2 or 3 years, I finally had earned their respect, and this one gentleman came up the drive and he had some needs that he wanted me to help him with. And so it was really, really encouraging. But, I've done everything from marriages for police officers who don't have a church to counseling them and their children to helping raise money for officers who've fallen through the cracks financially. And of course, I'm the chaplain for the Michigan Chiefs of Police, which means in my role as a chaplain here in Farmington Hills and elsewhere, I have helped other organizations, other police departments around Michigan get chaplains to be there for the officers when they need help.
That's wonderful. And a lot of people don't know this because it's not part of their world. It's very hard for law enforcement officers, first responders to give their trust and confide in someone who's not part of their world, really. So that you were able to come in and do that is actually really a testament to you yourself and being able to build that level of trust with them. So that's actually pretty special. So people who are outside of this, maybe don't realize that, but I do. So thank you for that. That's fantastic.
Well, thank you for those kind words, Elsa. Relationships were not only built in the car, but on the basketball court with these guys. We've had a lot of fun over the years, decades on basketball courts, whether they come and play for our church or whether I would just go for the pickup games with the guys at 11 o'clock at night. It's been a really good run, and I just love law enforcement.
Thank you so much. That's so wonderful to hear, and especially in times like these when we need that love and support so much. Our first responders, as you well know, are regularly getting beat up media
Yeah,
and mainstream media, and it's been rough. It's been very rough. So it's so heartwarming to know that there are people like you out there that are out there hands-on, really trying to help and give them the support that they need because it's so needed during these times. I have to ask you the obvious question: how do we go from being a pastor and a chaplain to politics? Tell me a little bit about your run for governor.
well, back in March of 2020, when everything shut down and Governor Whitmer was really locking us all down, there were a lot of officers and children and people in our church and outside of our church that were asking me, are we all going to die of COVID? And the children of officers were asking questions like, I'm not getting out of the house. I don't have any friends anymore. And just so many horrible effects mentally that her draconian, I hate to use that word, but it's very true. Her draconian lockdowns forced upon young people. And there were times also when I would wake up at 2:30 in the morning and I would be concerned about these people that I was counseling. And a lot of them were kids. And as I was counseling them, I would wake up, as I said, at 2:30 and just pray for them. And I thought to myself, somebody with sanity's got to jump into this whole situation. And it was at that point that I began to think about running for governor.
That is fantastic. And that's exactly what we need people to do. I was just having a conversation with another guest about, the need for individuals to step up and not wait for others to take these leadership roles when we see how badly things are going and the destruction that's being caused by bad leadership that is so detrimental to our communities. And we need exactly what you're doing, people who are just, kind of like at regular citizens to say, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I'm going to do something about it. And I think that alone sends a really powerful message to anyone watching or listening to what's going on in the world right now. To see and hear people like you that are standing up and saying, that's enough. I am going to do something about it. I'm going to do something in my part of the world. And that's really commendable. So it's got to be quite the undertaking. Has it been so far what you expected it to be? Because, politics, it's ugly.
You're right. I never realized how deep the swamp is, as Trump would talk about. And it's outrageous, even here in Michigan, even within our own party. People want to pretend that there's not division, but there really is. And it's really sad. I don't know how else to describe it, but I understand that, there's establishment, there's rhinos, there are grassroots people. And I would consider myself a grassroots person. And, Elsa, I mentioned, and I've been a pastor for 35 years, and I've been counseling husbands and wives who have really been at odds with one another, basically ready to divorce and kill each other. And we've been able to bring people together. And I look at my background in that whole area saying to myself, out of the people that are left, there's not anybody that has the counseling experience that I have to really bring unity, not only to families, not only to our party, but also to the whole state. And again, it's one of those things, as I look back, I would have never thought about running for governor. But when I look back at how, what I would say God has and trained me to do what I'm doing, I really don't think, I want this to sound humble, I really don't think there's another person that could do what I could do for the state.
Yeah, I understand that. And as I listen to you, I can really see that. And I have to say, kind of being a little cheeky here when I say this, if you can calm and bring our crazy little dysfunctional law enforcement family, which is so wonderful, but it is what it is in some regards. If you can bring that peace and calm and meeting in a place of middle ground, I guess is what I'm looking for law enforcement. You can do it for your state and maybe down the road for the whole country. Who knows? So yeah, that's quite an undertaking, but it sounds like it's one that you are ready to tackle for sure.
Yes. And, on that note, I've had opportunity over my 30 some years of being a police chaplain to really mediate between officers on the street and administration. And it's turned out really well. I've gone to bat for officers that I knew who were being unfairly misrepresented, by their superiors, and go all the way up to the chief because I have a hearing. If you look at the flow chart, it's the chief. And then as a chaplain, I'm right under him. He's the one I, address and talk to. So I always had that open door to the chief's office. And every chief that we've had here in Farmington Hills or Beverly Hills has been very receptive. Even chiefs outside of our department, I've gone to bat for officers that I knew on the streets that needed some representation, and it went really well for them.
That's fantastic. Tell me a little bit about your platform, what you're running on, what your platform is really.
Yeah. Our vision is to make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation. And we want to do that in several ways. We want to change the culture of Michigan. We've spent $22 trillion nationwide over the last 60 years on social programs, and nothing's changed. I mean, here in Michigan, we have more incarcerations, we have more suicides, we have more mental illness, more broken families. And I've been telling people that money hasn't fixed that. Education hasn't fixed that. We've tried everything under the sun, but as a pastor, I've seen God change people's lives. I've seen him take suicidal people and make them productive and actually enjoy their lives. And, I've counseled over 25 people who've been suicidal, and praise God, not one of them has taken their life. And so I've seen addicts get off drugs, off alcohol, families restored. And so my message is I want to see the culture of Michigan change, but in so doing, make Michigan a lighthouse to the nation. But basically, without getting into the details, unless you want to dig a little deeper, I have time to do that. Our platform is 4 words, 4 values, 4 strategies, and 4 solutions. And so the 4 words that I'm running on are our national motto: "In God we trust." Our 4 values are truth, respect, dignity, and love. Our 4 strategies and 4 solutions break that down even more. And they're just basically, if we could call it a sieve, that I would filter things through as I'm making decisions. And everybody's loving that, because there are things like, I'll give you an example. We have what's called Operation Roundtable. And I'm sure this happens in every state, but it recently happened last year in Michigan, where the legislature passes this so-called insurance reform bill. And it's passed at 11:45 at night. The governor signs it at 12:15 a.m. Everybody wakes up the next morning and says, who on earth passed that? What were they thinking? And so in my office, I'm going to have a literal roundtable. And there will be people sitting at that table. And my phrase that I've been using everywhere is the people that the decision affects the most should have the largest say. And so I'm going to have average citizens sit at that table, because oftentimes we send someone to Lansing or the state capitol and they end up not representing the citizens anymore. And I want the citizens of Michigan to know that we have an avenue for them to get to my office and to my thinking, not simply with the roundtable, but with when a bill comes from the legislature, I will also have opportunity for people on the web to comment on that. So, there's some creative things that people all around the state are just loving.
Absolutely. I'm loving hearing it. And, we spoke off air about, once you're governor, that I might want to move there with my family. And boy, you really are persuading me with everything you're saying here. And, and a large part of that is the thing that we've been so lacking and really begging for and demanding and not getting, which is transparency. And you're taking transparency and really taking it to the next level, it sounds like. So not only are you, putting a glass window so they can see through, you're actually inviting them in, your constituents and citizens in to be involved and take part. And I think that's going to speak well to a lot of people.
Mm. Yeah. One other quick. Go ahead.
Sure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was going to say, does within your party, within your comrades, are they for or against what you're saying? I know that might be putting on the spot a little bit, but are there people in your party, in your lane there, that are kind of like, whoa, don't do that? Or is everyone kind of on board?
Well, I will say that there are other governor candidates that are so on board, they've taken my idea and given it a new name.
Of course they do.
But the legislature, nobody's really challenged me on that, because I think many of them feel that that's what's happened. And there are some good legislators out there that feel like they're trying to be the voice for their constituency, but others aren't. And so they're, stonewalled in what they can do. So I really think that everybody's looking at this Operation Roundtable as a fresh approach to not only giving the citizens a hearing in my office, but also as a check and balance against the legislature. So, but I haven't heard anybody say anything negative about it yet.
That's good. That's good. Very good. We'd know who to get rid of if that were the case, because you're offering something here that is only beneficial. So if somebody's against that, we kind of know what lane to put them in, don't we?
Yeah, I don't
Now,
think Governor Whitmer would ever think of having a roundtable in her office.
yeah, I'm going to agree with you based on what I know, and I'll be honest with you, Ralph. I am not a big political follower. Not in the smaller sense of individual states and cities and towns and all of those things. I'm like the big picture girl. So this is such a great education for me, really, to listen to what you're saying and hearing what's going on. So I appreciate that so much, really. Now I want to kind of change gears just a tiny bit, but still in the same lane here. You're a family man, and I love your story. I love you. You married your high school sweetheart. You have
Did
4 kids, and did I read that you have 16 grandchildren?
We have 17 now. We had the 17th born on Saturday, 3 days
Wow.
ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a blast. They're a
Congratulations.
lot of. Thank you.
That's incredible. And that I think is really important and speaks to so many people too. You're a family man. You understand these values that I think this country is craving so much.
Mm.
With all of the insanity and the depravity and the absolute nonsense that is going on now and being encouraged and promoted by the radical left, uh, the rest of us are sitting here going, where is normalcy? Where is tradition? Where are our traditional values? Where's God in all of this? And it sounds like you are looking to bring that back to your state, which I think is wonderful.
I am. Our 4 words, "In God We Trust," are what I've lived my whole life on, and it's our national motto. And it's interesting because I've been challenged by some on the left who have said, "Well, how does that work?" And I just simply say to at least citizens in Michigan, "Do you know what the preamble to the Michigan Constitution says?" And no one knows. So I quote for them. It says, "We, the people of the state of Michigan, grateful to Almighty God for the blessings of freedom and earnestly desiring to secure those blessings undiminished to us and to our children, ordain and establish this Constitution." And so right off the bat, our own Constitution acknowledges God and his existence in society and the value of having him in society. And then I don't have to quote it all for you, but Article 8, Section 1 says, "Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary for good government and the happiness of people, schools and the means of education shall forever be established." So that's our nation's history. And I keep telling people that if we don't get God right in this next election, nothing's going to matter. Because as you mentioned, Elsa, we are watching people going off the cliff exponentially. And, with the Biden administration, with Whitmer, her lockdowns and her lack of respect for parents, despite what she says, all of those things really, as you say, are really not resonating with anyone in Michigan. And I've talked to people in Wayne County, Democrats, African Americans, as well as people all the way up to Marquette and in the Upper Peninsula, and everybody's agreeing that we need to bring God back into culture.
What would you say is the biggest issue facing Michigan? Of course, we could go as big as the country, but we'll keep it in Michigan. What would you think the biggest problem Michigan is facing right now?
What I'm hearing from everybody on the street is freedom and liberty. Everybody feels like our First Amendment rights are just being blown away, under attack, destroyed, and ignored. And it doesn't matter if it's parental rights and liberties in a school board meeting. It doesn't matter if it's a forced COVID shot. It doesn't matter if it's mass or unmasked, or even religious liberties and freedoms. We are seeing right now in Michigan that that's a huge concern. Obviously, the next thing, and probably less than half a step behind it, is the economy. The price of gas, inflation, it's affecting everything. I mean, house prices and interest rates are like around 6.5%. And I remember in the 80s, my first house I bought, it was 13.5%. And for even 6% sounds good. But when it was down like 1% and it's up to 6 now, it's going to make the American dream of owning a home much more difficult for people to attain.
Yeah, and at the rate things are going, of course, it looks like it's going to get so much worse before it gets better. And that is, your average American. I mean, you're talking about now you're getting down to the brass tacks of we need to be able to put food on our tables, gas in our cars to get to work. And I mean, people are really looking at their survival right now as a real threat to their existence, everything that's happening right now. And, and again, I say it again, not big in, my huge understanding of politics and the machine of that. But, I understand the human side of that, which is we need people in leadership positions that are truly looking out for us and doing the right things for us and not for them and not for their pockets, because that seems to be the case over and over
Yes.
again. And I won't even just say it's just one side. That is the political arena in general. And we
Before
need grassroots. Yeah, we need grassroots people like yourself who understand what regular average citizens are going through and dealing with, and ready to tackle those problems. It's
Yeah, it's
overwhelming, I would
interesting.
think.
It is. And it's interesting because when I first started thinking back in March, as I mentioned, counseling those young people and the adults and people thinking their lives were over and everybody's going to die of COVID, I began to think about running for governor. And I had no idea what that meant. I've been in public life on a bunch of different committees and commissions in Farmington Hills and with the state police and the chiefs of police. I've been involved in that arena, but I had no idea what it was like to run for governor. So I called a couple campaign managers. And Elsa, I'm just going to ask you this, not to put you on the spot, but what do you think their first question was to me?
Oh gosh, I can't even imagine what they're. I'm sure it's going to be
Their
something
first question,
crazy.
yeah, their first question was, how much of your own money are you going to put into this campaign?
I should have been able to
And I
guess
said,
that.
yeah, I said, I have no idea. How much do people normally put in? And two people that I talked to before I found the campaign manager who actually helped us launch, they said, well, in a statewide race, you're probably going to have to put in $10 million of your own money. And I said, are you kidding me? How on earth does an average person get to represent average people if they have to come up with $10 million? I said, there's no way. And they said, well, we won't represent you unless you have $10 million. What they're saying is we want our money first. We want to know that we're going to get paid for the next year. And I was blown away by that. And that's a typical question that people ask. Well, how much money do you have? And so, I tell people, and I don't say this out of pride, I say this just out of reality. If you want somebody who's going to represent you as a governor, look at how much money of their own money they're putting in. And by what I mean by that is, as a pastor, I've put in about $80,000 in my retirement to do this. And I don't have that kind of money, but I'm so
Right.
committed to protecting our children and their future. Our founders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor. So I don't want to sit in my rocking chair, as Ronald Reagan said one day, and simply say, that's the America that was when people lived free. I'm going to at least put up a fight. And if it costs me my entire retirement, which is looking like it, I'm willing to risk that because I don't want my grandkids to grow up in the America that we're seeing right now.
Ralph, I'm blown away by that. I can't even imagine that that's the case. And you said it exactly. You're so right. How does the average American who, wants to get involved in the way that you are, how do they do this, without those kind of finances? And what a huge testament to you and your commitment to your state, that you are truly putting up what you have to be able to represent them. And I think that speaks volumes about you and your intentions. That's amazing. Tell me about your family, how they reacted to the news when you said, "Hey, guess what? I'm going to run for governor." What do you guys think? What was the reaction to that?
they were all behind it. It was funny how it unfolded. When I first started thinking about it, and as I mentioned, I was waking up at 2:30 in the morning. I talked to my wife about it, and she said, "Well, why? Let's just pray about it. This is a huge step." I had been pastoring the same church for 35 years. I've been in this community for 35 years. Been a chaplain for 32 here in Farmington Hills, and so to make that step was huge. So we prayed for it as a couple. And then the Lord opened some doors, and that kind of showed that that's the direction we should go. So then we asked our 4 grown children to pray about it, and with their children. And our youngest grandchild, as I said, was born 3 days ago, and our oldest is 17. So our families just rallied around us, and we all just decided, yes, Dad, this is what you need to do. And so then we opened it up to our church leadership, and they were 100% behind it. And then when I announced to the church that I was going to run for governor, they actually stood up and clapped on Sunday after church. They stood up and clapped, and then they sat down and cried. They knew I'd
Oh,
be leaving.
oh, you're gonna make me
Anyway,
cry. I cry very
everybody,
easily.
uh, everybody was 100% supportive of it. Even the
That's
mayor in Farmington
beautiful.
Hills, uh,
Wow. Yeah,
all,
that
all the chiefs.
all of those. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was just going to say all the chiefs of police, the mayor of Farmington Hills, chiefs of police everyone that I know in Michigan has said, Ralph, we're behind you. You need to do this. And it was really a blessing and encouragement to know that I had their support in doing that.
That's incredible and so heartwarming and yeah, I can imagine easily how it must have just been like all signs pointing you in the direction, just one after another. And I applaud you on this journey. And I will be watching as the non-political woman is going to be watching this very intently. I'm invested now for my potential
Uh,
future home, my future state, maybe.
there you go. There you go. I love it. Well, I
Oh,
appreciate that, Elsa. Yeah, things are going really well. The message is resonating all over the state, and we're humbled to be a part of the program and the process. And I've had 2 Supreme Court justices in Michigan, one a liberal Democrat and the other one a conservative Republican, tell me that I have to stick with the message of bringing Judeo-Christian principles back to our culture, because if we don't, we're going to lose our state and we're going to lose our nation. And so that message is not only resonating at the top where judges are seeing the deterioration of law and order, but it's resonating even in low-income zip codes. It's resonating everywhere. And so as we get out more, as our name is spread around the state, as I'm on the debate stage, people are picking it up and they're really running with it too.
outstanding. Last thing, tell everyone where they can find you, how they can help, how they can get involved. Where can they find you?
All right. Well, my website is ralphrebandtforgovernor.com. There, you can look at a lot of things. I have a lot of endorsements. I have Mike Lindell. I've got Abby Johnson from the movie Unplanned. Father Frank Pavone. We've got another big announcement for an endorsement coming up this week. Not President Trump yet, but we're getting closer. And so we're excited about all the endorsements that are out there. I've just had Montmorency County in Michigan endorse me, and it's called Mira Michigan Republican Assembly has endorsed me. And so we're really getting a lot of traction. Latinos United for America and Veterans in Defense of Liberty have just endorsed me as well. So we're getting a lot of traction. But I'm also on social media. I'm on Truth. I'm on everything.
Awesome. Wonderful. Good. I'm gonna follow you on all of those. Not in like a creepy way, but in support, in support. I always feel funny when I say I'm gonna follow
Thank
you. It
you.
sounds really weird, right? Oh, guys, this has
I appreciate
been Ralph Rebandt. He's running for governor of Michigan, and go check out his website and see what he's all about. Ralph, thank you again so much for joining me today. I appreciate it, and I really enjoyed our conversation very, very much.
I did as well, Elsa, and I really appreciate getting to meet you today in your program. And I will add you and your husband to my prayer list for law enforcement. It's special to have friends that are around the country, and knowing that you're from Connecticut, I will put you on the list. And it's not just a grocery list; it's people that I really care about. So
Thank you so much. That means the world. It truly does. Thank you. All right, guys, this has been the Elsa Kurt Show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.